Hello everybody, this is a mimeograph, the Limograph from Maurice Eyquem, Paris. You can read it in this inscription with beautiful gold characters. It is in French language and it means do-it-yourself printing device, a DIY device, so to say. It's quite old, from around 1895. It's a wood box and there are two inks here, so let's open it. Here there is a short manual in French. You can see it in the link in the comments if you want. There is also an address and the instruction on how to order the accessories. It was when orders were made by mail, but not email. Inside there is the copying frame. It misses the screen. I will add later. There is this plate for the ink. The ink roller is fixed on the bottom of the box. It has been used a lot. And there are two little wood containers with two little bottles inside. Luckily there is still a label in French explaining which is the content. In this one there is oil for the maintenance of the stylus for preparing the stencil. Sometimes the stylus for doing the stencil was made like this, with a little wheel on top. With this oil you oiled this little wheel. There is a little cork to close the bottle. At those times it was the only way to close bottles. This one contains a liquid for the correction of the stencils. As I said before, here there should be a silk screen and it's missing. I want to add it before starting doing copies. The frame opens like this. There are a lot of inks all around. I will use a fine mesh nylon fabric. It must be placed here. Should be very well stretched. And it's to be closed as it was before, with all the inks. It is very delicate and it is difficult for it to last for such long time. Okay, done, it's okay. Now it's ready to do the copies. I prepare a stencil using special waxed paper. The waxed paper is impermeable to the ink. With this stylus I remove the wax, so in the place where I wrote the ink can permeate the paper and settle on the paper below it, so doing the copy. If I make an error I can correct with the liquid in the bottle we saw before. Basically the liquid restores the wax covering of the waxed paper. The stencil is ready for doing the copy. Then I take the stencil I prepared before and I placed it here. I fix it with some paper tape. I take the plate for the inking and I place on it some ink. I take a blank sheet of paper and I place it here. And I pass the roller on the frame. When I ink the screen I placed before with this roller, the ink passes through the lines I wrote on the stencil where I removed the wax and settle on the paper below. Here the first copy and another copy. It is possible to do some hundreds of copies with a stencil. In the past, the mimeographs were used for fanzines, menus, leaflet, advertisements. Another copy. It is possible to do some hundreds of copies with a stencil. That's all. This is how they did copies at the end of the 19th century. Before the starting of the mimeograph era, at the end of the 1800s, people who wanted to print copies should go to a typography or use the ectographic process or use the lithography. These mimeographs allowed people to diffuse their ideas. Could be considered a Facebook or a social media of 19th century. What did you said? You said that would be better to go back to mimeographs instead of social media. You are right. With the mimeographs, before spreading an idea, people had many time to think about it while preparing the stencil and doing the copies, and maybe they arrived to the conclusion that it was not a so good idea. Would be better to do the same also now and take some time before writing something. Have a nice day.